Mine says live.
Yeah. Well, so
on air.
When we first started doing these streams, we would hit the start and then we'd be like, hey, welcome everybody. And then we'd go back and review the live streams. It would take anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds for it to actually connect. So right now it's probably connected. So we should do our intro.
Okay.
There we go. People are on. All right.
Hi, all right. I'm Miriam. This is Chris. And this is Bronson. And we're from Keto Chow. I mean, I'm from Keto Chow. Check us out at ketochow.xyz.
Yeah. And like she said, I'm Chris. I'm also one of the co-founders, just like Miriam. If you're brand new to Keto Chow, we created a couple of products to help make doing a keto diet easier. Our main product is a complete keto meal that you can customize to fit the macros that work best for you. We also have some electrolytes that are awesome.
We do this live stream to keep you updated on all of our Keto Chow happenings, to help us be accountable, stay on track, and have you with us on our journey. So thanks for joining us.
Okay. And who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
I don't know yet. I'm not really sure. I haven't found myself. No.
He's part of a band.
Part of a band, Bronson and the Bears.
Bronson and the Bears.
I am Bronson Dant. I am a personal trainer, health coach, and the creator, founder of the Apex Training System, which is a fitness, nutrition, and health coaching program specifically focused for men over 40.
Okay. Hey, that's me. I'm old and busted.
What? You're over 40.
Yeah, I'm probably closer to 50 than you are.
Yo, that's true, because hold on, I need to do math.
You're 42. You're 43.
No, I think I'm 43.
Okay.
43.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm 77. Yep.
I'll be 49 on my next one. So
49.
Getting close.
Nice.
Getting really close. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but whatever.
Okay. You can't change your mind.
Yeah, I can't change my mind.
I don't want to be that old.
Like, I'm quitting 2020 and I'm quitting getting old.
No.
Yeah, there we go. Done. Not happening.
So speaking of which, so we actually talked to you earlier on in the year, back in, if I remember correctly, it was February of this year.
Yep.
How has your 2020 gone so far? Because, so you said, well, let's back up a bit. So you do APX training method or training system, right?
Yep.
And so you're a personal trainer. You have a gym that you work at too, right?
There's a local gym that I work out of. I used to own a gym. I sold that in September of last year. And post-quarantine, COVID, everything else, when things started opening up again, I moved to a local gym in my area, and I work out of there now for the one-on-one face-to-face stuff.
Okay. So how has your 2020 gone?
That's a large question. How much time do we have?
How was your March?
Well, Renee says 2020, she wants a refund.
Yeah.
A refund, right? Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I want a refund. I think if anything, it's been a learning experience.
Yeah.
There's definitely been a lot of things about what are you prepared for?
Yeah. That
many people I know, including myself, I didn't have answers for. Mentally, mental health wise, routine wise, habits. I was, early on in the about midway through the quarantine phase, I read, or I should say listened to, because I listen to books more now than I actually read them.
Yeah.
I listened to The Power of Habits. And it was a great read. If you guys haven't read it, absolutely read it.
It's called The Power of Habits? The
Power of Habits. It basically breaks down what habits are and how we create them, how they come into our lives, and then how to change them once we realize what they are. Okay. And that's the thing about most habits. The majority of habits we have in our lives, we don't know we have.
Yeah.
Because we don't think about the habits. We just go through our day. They're habits, which means our brain is turned off when we do them.
Yeah.
So we have to learn how to turn our brain on as we're going about a routine, to start evaluating and looking at what are we doing. And when we come into stressful situations, we default to those habits that have developed over time, and they may not be good habits, and they may not be supporting the vision, the goal, and the direction that we want to go. But because we're not being deliberate and cognizant of it, we don't change them. So that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned in this whole process, is to be more cognizant and deliberate. He says it a few times in the book, be deliberate about your habits. And that's probably the biggest thing I learned.
Wow. Okay.
Don't let things happen by accident.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that, yeah, 2020 has sucked, but it has been a time of introspection, a time of personal growth for some people. And some people have said, yeah, they just want 2020 to end. But I don't know. The experiences that I've had, I think, have made me a better person.
Hopefully.
I think I would have rather had a normal year, but it kind of goes back to someone I really respect was talking about the things that we go through in our life and how, as a parent or as a caregiver or anything like, you always want to kind of protect people from those terrible things that you've experienced.
Right.
And he said, don't rob your children of the experiences that made you who you are. Like, wow, that's okay. So anyway, and a lot of times when our kids are doing stupid stuff, I'm like, you need to do this and you need to do that. And I'll tell them sometimes, they just don't listen. And one of them breaks down and like, why did this happen? I'm like, well, I told you. Carrie Brown.
Try not to say I told you so.
I know. Carrie Brown said, you two saved my 2020.
I just saw that. I was gonna say, that's awesome. That is why you guys do what you do. That is why I do what I do, because that's what it's about. I love that message. That's awesome, Carrie.
And do you know Carrie Brown, by the way?
No.
Oh, so
I
Carrie
do now, though.
Brown,
Hi, Carrie.
You need to know her.
If you actually may have heard of her, she used to work for the Keto Evangelist Kitchen, and was on that podcast. Now she lives up in Connecticut, and she kind of does her own thing. And she does a lot of amazing cookbooks, and she's been on several podcasts talking about mental health and the benefits of ketogenic diet for that.
And she had another podcast, The Two Keto Dudes.
Yes.
She was a dude on that. Dudette.
Okay, so yeah, I definitely have seen that. So now I know. I just did put a name to it. Okay. Gotcha. All right.
So there you go. Now
Carrie, let's talk later.
Yeah, that's right. You do some stuff with mental health too, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Not specifically mental health. I'm much more aligned from the mental health aspect. I guess we could say in the habits and lifestyle area, as well as in the relationships and community space, right? Getting people involved with other people, because I think it's a huge part of everything that I do. Even with my one-on-one clients, I try to incorporate and include something that gets them talking to other people that are doing the same thing, having the same challenges, trying to move in the same direction, that they can kind of feel a camaraderie and have a support network with. I think that's really a big piece. I think a lot of people feel like they're lost. They don't know what to do, number one. And then number two, they feel like they're doing it by themselves or they're alone. They don't know who else is doing this. And there's so much, it's almost like there's so much information out there on the internet that it is too much, and it makes people feel even more lost.
Yeah. It's overwhelming.
Right. It's like a caveman walking into the Library of Congress.
Oh yeah, and you're just
right. It's like it's just brain
I don't
melt,
even know what I don't know at this point.
Yeah, and at the same time, everything I thought I knew is wrong. So there's cognitive dissonance. There's an overwhelming. There's an unfiltered. There's just so many different things going on. Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Well, and you see that in many aspects of your life. So health and nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
I literally today was watching. I got into first person view drones, like where you put the goggles on your face. Yeah. That was a bad idea because it's this massive time suck. Before this live stream, I was watching videos about FPV stuff, and I was thinking the stuff that I know now. It's like someone talks about this in this technical term, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I know exactly what. 2-3 months ago, in August, whenever that was, I don't know, 17 months ago in March. I remember thinking, I that same terminology that I just casually oh yeah, I know what that is. I had no idea what that was, and it was driving me nuts. And people just kept mentioning it in passing. And I think we have that same sort of thing that goes on in the keto world. We tend to forget how far we've come.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of times it's a good thing to step back and that's actually one thing that I really respect about Dr. Jeff Gerber.
Oh,
Mhm.
he's
I don't know
so
if you know him.
amazing.
He's
I've
the
heard
one.
the name.
So he did low carb Denver.
Diet Doctor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
He goes
Yep.
by.
And when Miriam was very first starting
Oh yeah.
in the whole
I
keto
don't even
space.
think I'd been started keto
Yeah.
yet.
Well, you hadn't started keto yet
Yeah.
because we went to Keto Fest, the very first one
Was it
that the two crazy ketos were doing. 2017.
Yeah.
And we were standing around in a circle. The only person I knew in the circle was Dave Feldman. And people were just talking about different things. And somebody was talking about A1C. Miriam didn't know what that was. And she was just deer in the headlights.
I was just listening. Like, I didn't even think about it.
And the Dr. Gerber stopped and explained to her the significance of A1C.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well,
That's cool.
which was funny because I didn't even notice. I just thought, oh, great. You know, like, that's just part of the conversation. I didn't notice him stop and explain it to me because I didn't understand it. It was on my face. But
what's going on? What is that?
yeah.
But for instance, when you're doing stuff with exercise and physical fitness and stuff, do you ever run into that where you forget that there's people who that don't know all that stuff, or you find that you have to kind of slow down and just start them from scratch?
Yeah, so that's actually the easy answer that doesn't make sense is no.
Okay.
Because I feel like my calling in this space is that.
Okay.
Is being the guy that isn't talking above people and trying to, for lack of a better term, dumb things down so that normal people can understand what's going on.
Nice.
I'm not a scientist. I'm a fitness expert. I've been doing fitness for 10 years. I've studied my butt off about it. I've studied carnivore and keto because I've been carnivore for almost 3 years. I've been keto for almost 5 years. And it just, there's such, we talked about this right beforehand, Miriam, you know, there's such a synergy between the two that I try, and my message is it doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay.
Right. We don't have to do things in such a way that you're looking at all these different things. Like, it's great to read the obesity code. It's great to read good calories, bad calories. It's great to read, you know, all these different books that are out there about all this stuff and the science behind everything, but you don't need to be successful and be healthy. You could never read any of those books. And if you just understand a few simple principles, you can change your life.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of where my space is.
That's fantastic. So when do you teach any of your clients about like carnivore eating or keto or things like that? Okay.
It's like the base. It's like the base.
So I want you to start with
Bacon.
just eating meat.
Oh.
Just that's it. That's right. Yeah. So I actually have.
That's not meat.
Yeah, people ask that all the time. Actually, I have an online automated program that you can just sign up for and just kind of send you information, you know, a couple times a week with stuff for 8 weeks. I also do a one-on-one coaching where I sit down with you on a regular basis weekly, and we go over a plan and kind of put things together.
Now, literally sit down, or is this on the internet?
On the internet, on the interwebs, virtual sit down.
Oh, I'm caught in my interwebs.
Right. And then in my fitness stuff, where I'm focusing on the fitness, but it's not in my nature to focus just on fitness and not talk about nutrition and mindset and all these other things as well. So if you're working with me on any level, you're going to get some exposure to, you need to eat more meat. That's just how it works.
That sounds terrible. So, so your website is, let me just pull it up right here. So Apex, let's see.
Apex Training System. Yep.
Yeah. APXTS. And
is that where you were saying that the automated place is on here too?
Yeah. If you go back to the top, right, and then right there, there's 3 buttons if you go down a little bit, or you could do it right there. Yeah. The 8-week challenge is the automated. Yeah. Just click on that. And then if you just click on that, that's just, it's basically the same as if you were working with me one-on-one, without the actual interaction and individualized program.
Oh,
So
okay.
you get the same information, you get the same basic information, nutrition, fitness, habits, all that kind of stuff through an 8-week program. It's just, you don't actually get to talk to me. It's all videos and text.
So then you could really do it anytime you want, right?
Sure. Absolutely. And you can you have access to it. I mean, it's emailed directly to you, so you have access to it anytime.
Yeah, that's really nice for convenience when, everybody's busy doing this, that, and the other. And also, like, finding a space. Before we started this, we were talking a little bit about how you are figuring out how to help people in their space who can't necessarily go to a gym because of COVID or whatever restrictions that they have. And I find it's always been a little bit difficult for me to find a space in my home without a child in it. And that's my fault for having all those children that I love, and I love them being with me. And it's actually been really nice.
Hey, only 4 of them were planned.
Yes.
2 of them just popped out of nowhere. They just hitched a ride,
Wait, you guys have 6?
Yeah.
Well, we had a set of twins.
Okay.
We're like, okay, that was a lot of work. Let's just have a singleton. So we had a
we
singleton.
get to choose that.
Then it was like, you know what was fun? Twins.
Let's do that again.
So we had twins.
Do that again.
Yeah, but the second set, they're not identical. She has longer hair than he does.
Okay.
And then we're like, okay, we'll just do one singleton because we had good insurance at that point. But we saved $10,000 on maternity deductibles.
Yeah. We still didn't get to choose. We just got one. And we're so lucky. We're so blessed.
I had 4 and I thought that was a lot. I can't imagine 6. That's crazy.
Oh, well,
That's
see,
the same as what we had.
eventually
4.
you just lower your standards and it's fine.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, and I love having the kids around me. And now, we work out together.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like food. When you're preparing food for that many kids, you just prepare a lot of food. Well, exercise equipment, you know how many mats we have? We have a lot of mats.
And there's more at the office too.
So, it's just, we have exercise equipment for everybody. And then I always tell the kids not to play with the heavy weights because they'll hurt themselves.
And they'll dent the floor.
That's why.
Okay.
Hence the mats.
Hence the mats.
But my point was trying to find a space and a time to exercise. Like you need to make that time and make that space, but sometimes it's difficult. And using that program would be really helpful because then you could do it at a time that's a little bit maybe convenient for you.
Sure. You could do it. You could stop in the middle of it, say, hey, so kids spilled something, I got to pause and come back. It's still there. It's not going anywhere. Absolutely.
Now, on the program, so it's an 8-week thing.
Mm-hmm.
If for example, in the middle of it, you're like, I have to take off. Is the course timed? Like,
nope.
Do you lose access after 8 weeks?
It's all emails.
Oh, okay.
So you basically are going to get 2 or 3 emails a week for 8 weeks that has all the information about your next step and what you're doing as you go through the challenge.
So can you just go back and do that again? Like do the 8 week
challenge? It'll be in your once you get it once, it's in your email. So you just do it as many times as you want. Sure.
Which is kind of fun because then you can just like, okay, I'm going to reset. I'm going to go do my 8-week challenge. I'm going to do my Keto Chow challenge. I'm going to
There's so many challenges, right? Like, which one do I choose?
Yeah. And really, you just have to find something that will work for you.
Right.
And just something, I think it's really nice doing challenges because it helps you be motivated. Okay, well, I'm doing this for this amount of time at least. And then a lot of times you can pick up those habits. You're deliberately starting a habit by doing a challenge. So
I'm living that right now, actually, for the past few months with, coming out of quarantine, moving to a new gym. I was actually at 2 different gyms till I found the gym I'm at now. And just trying to figure out, like, for myself, like, what is my own fitness goals? Like, what am I working for? Where do I want to be right now? Right. And a friend of mine owns a business that he does fitness programming. Doctor, heal thyself, right? Doctors are the worst patients. People that program for other people for a living are horrible at programming for themselves.
Yeah.
I do not like to program my own workouts. It's really annoying. So I go to him and say, hey, you got a new program? He's like, hey, I got this new program. So I'm actually doing the 12-week program that he put together. Oh, no. And it takes a little bit of pressure off because I'm not the whole idea, and one of the things that is cool about having a personal trainer, having a coach, going to a gym, a CrossFit gym or something like that is you don't have to think. You show up, you do what they tell you to do, and then you go home. You put your trust, because you're putting your money there, so you might as well actually trust what they're doing. You put your trust in them and say, look, I trust that you're going to give me something that's going to help me get better. And you just do it. So there's no stress. It just helps take that pressure off.
I think you're going to work harder than you would by yourself too.
Absolutely. When you're doing it with other people. And that's the thing with this program, it's like a challenge. It's 12 weeks, go through this program, but he's got a Facebook group. There's hundreds of other people that are going through the program as well. So I can interact with people and say, hey, how'd you like that workout? Hey, what'd you do for this? And have that community aspect, which everybody needs.
Now, Karen wanted to know, do you only work with men over 40?
I work with anybody. My focus, because I am a man over 40.
Okay.
My focus is men over 40, but I have, my mom is a client. She's 65. So I'll work with anybody.
She's definitely not a man over 40.
She's definitely not a man over 40.
Okay. And the workouts, are they something that anybody can do? Like, do you need to have a good basis in like working out? And do you have to know all the terminology and things like that?
Not at all. So there's a breakdown. It breaks everything down. The workouts for the challenge, the online one, I kept it as simple as possible. It's 1 week of workouts that you just repeat for the 8 weeks, and it's all body weight.
Oh, really?
It's all body weight. And there are videos for everything.
So you don't even need one of them fancy kettlebells that you have in that video?
You can use them if you want to, but you don't need to.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay.
That's really nice, especially with us at home. Like if we don't have the resources, you have your body and a wall and a floor.
It's all, you got your body. That's really, I mean, honestly, for people, especially people just getting started, that's all you need is just your body, because it's about movement.
Yeah.
Just move your body. That's step number one. Just move your body. All you got to do is move.
You're really strong and you might need additional weight, but until then.
Right.
Deanne popped on and says, I'm a woman over 40 and I use Coach Dant's workout programming.
Hey, yeah, what's going on? She's actually in Dr. James Seaman's
oh, really?
Fabulous Training Method. She's one of the subscribers there.
That's so awesome.
She loves burpees, right, Deanna? You love burpees.
Oh, of course. Burpees are everyone's favorite, right?
There's a meme going around that says something about burpees hate you too, okay?
Yeah. It's like the chocolate cake of exercise.
Yes.
It's the best. They're the best. I'm going to, she says, no. All right. So look, here's why burpees are awesome. I'm going to just tell everybody why burpees are awesome.
What are burpees?
Yeah.
Okay. Burpees are basically falling down and standing up again.
Okay. So you go from standing.
You fall down. You don't have to do a push-up. You can. It increases the difficulty. You don't have to. You just get yourself back up and stand up and do a little hop. Little hop at the top. Okay. All right. So the reason I love burpees is once you learn.
So hard?
No, right? And we can post a video. I have a burpee video. We can post it if you want. You know, I can send you. The reason I like burpees is because the action of doing the movement actually replicates 4 or 5 different other movements that we do in everyday life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Bending over, pushing away, bending our knees, squatting, picking something up off the floor, reaching up in the sky. Like there's all types of things in the burpees. And it gets your heart rate up, and it helps you just move your body, because that's what it's all about. I love burpees. They're awesome.
Now, burpees would be a good thing to do if you're cold and your mom says put on a sweater, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're great. They're great for building character as well.
Yeah. That's what Karen Renee said, that she put kids into burpees instead of timeout. Like, that's a good idea. When my kids were little, I would just say, okay, run all the way around the circle 5 times, because we have this big circle. I'm like, oh, you need to be punished, or go run around.
I don't remember that being punished. It was just like
you need to get out of my hair. Run around the circle 5 times and give me a high five.
It's like,
Sean is asking about pressure on her wrists or shoulders, optional burpees.
Oh yeah.
Probably
that's a hard one. I mean, you could do armless burpees, but that's a whole nother thing. That's more for comedy than anything else.
A fish out of the water.
Sean, I would say without getting too much, if you can do just a plank without going up and down, then just do a plank where you go down to a tall plank with your hands on the floor, walk out to a plank, walk your feet back in, and stand up again. So you're not doing the pushing up off the floor portion of it. You're just going to a plank, and that's it.
Okay.
So you basically get down, do a tall plank, stand up, and then that's your modified burpee.
So
you can do that.
Plank with your butt up in the air.
No, just a regular plank. Just walk down, get into a plank, and then stand up again.
Okay.
Right, that would be it.
That still is a workout.
Absolutely. You're still moving and you're still doing stuff. The cool thing about all this stuff, and just like she asked a question, in my challenge and any of the programs where anybody's been exposed to me, if I'm working with you through one of the fitness programs that I manage or my own programs, it's about asking questions and using me as a coach. I like being a coach. I like helping people figure out how to do things. So if you're not sure how to do an exercise, just ask. Whatever format you have to ask. If you are just random out there and you're trying to do something and you don't have a coach, go to my Instagram page, send me a DM, comment on one of my posts, and just say, hey, I tried to do this exercise. I don't know what to do. I've got a bad shoulder. I've got a bad knee. I've got a bad hip. I will help you out. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Nice. Juliet says she's all by herself in keto groups for No Snack November.
Oh,
You're not alone. Miriam and I are doing No Snack November. There you go.
There you go. Nice.
Well,
Rachel, real quick, Rachel Stauffer.
Yes.
Earlier, do you guys know Rachel?
Mm-hmm.
So you have met Rachel as well.
Oh, I have?
You may not remember.
At Omaha.
She is one of the 2 crazy ketos.
Oh, okay. Hi, Rachel.
See, I
know everyone by their Instagram name. I don't know anybody's actual names. She asked a question early on in this thing about how to get over I'll start working out after the holidays.
Oh.
Yes. About start out
right
today instead of
it's a really difficult thing to answer because everybody responds to things differently.
Yeah.
The default, the go-to process is always, why do you want to get started in the first place?
Yeah.
And you've got to focus on that. That's not going to change unless you start doing something. So you have to realize that that's going to happen. If you feel like what you're going to do is too much to bite off, it's too much to chew, then break it down. Start with something smaller.
Yeah.
Right. The biggest thing, just like the Power of Habits book that I talked about earlier, think about what is it that you have in your life that's preventing you from doing that. Maybe there's a routine or a habit or something that you're doing that's taking that time, taking that mental focus, whatever, that you can change a habit or change a routine that will include the new thing that you're trying to do to get better.
Okay.
And change that, right? That's probably the easiest thing to do, is try to figure out how can you alter a routine, alter a habit to include something as opposed to keeping it out of.
Okay. So Renee said, I had a coach that had me do a journal, and the first question to answer and always refer back to is know your why.
Yeah.
Know your why. Why?
Well,
Yes.
and I would like to get to the point where we don't say that exercise is to lose weight, because I don't feel like that's the reason that exercise
is to
exists.
feel better.
You
don't lose weight by exercising. But
and that's the thing, right? You may exercise and gain weight.
What? I mean, if you're doing it right, that's the idea, right?
If you're doing it right, that's kind of the idea. You should look. If you get fit, you will look fit.
Yeah.
If you can look fit and be completely unhealthy.
Yeah.
So which one would you rather be? Would you rather look like if you I did a podcast with Amber, Lone Star Keto. We've actually done a couple recently. And I think in the next one, she hasn't posted yet. In the next one, we talk a little bit about how most of the people that you see on the internet that are fitness professionals, Instagram fit pros, fit stars, whatever, are unhealthy. They are unhealthy physically. They are unhealthy mentally, because their focus is on looking healthy, not being healthy.
Yeah.
And if you use them as your gold standard, you're going to be off track, because the things that they're telling you to do and the way that they live their lives don't match with what real people need.
Wow. Okay.
So you be very careful who you're looking at and what you're setting as your standard for health, because it's not looks. It is not looks. Okay. Get healthy and you'll look healthy. Get healthy and you'll feel healthy. get healthy, your quality of life will improve and you will be happier and all those other types of things. You will be able to do things. I like to say your fitness, your quality of life is your ability to express your freedom through physical activity. We have all kinds of freedoms in this world. We can do all kinds of things that we want to do, but if we can't physically do them, we're just as locked up as if we lived in a cage.
It's true.
So that's what it's about. It's not about looking good.
Wow.
That's so true.
That's fantastic. Renee says, so she does physical therapy, and she says exercise is to increase your bone density so you don't end up as one of my patients.
Yes. And we talked about my mom being a patient. She actually, through carnivore and CrossFit, she was a client of mine doing personal training for a couple of years, and then she started in CrossFit. Through carnivore CrossFit, I think she did take some calcium supplements, but between the combination of all of that stuff, she actually reversed osteoporosis.
Really?
Oh, wow. That's so great.
Wow.
Like, fantastic story. Her favorite thing, she's 60, actually she's 66 now. Her favorite thing to do is deadlift. It's awesome. She's like 5'4", like 130 pounds. And she's like, I want to deadlift. I'm like, this is awesome.
You're like, well, you've got the mechanical advantage being that short.
Right. Yeah. So through this whole COVID thing, it's been really cool because I've actually been helping her set up her gym in her basement. She's got a better gym than I do.
Oh,
with all this stuff that she's got in there.
Does she have like a power cage and everything?
She doesn't have a power cage. She's got a universal machine. She's got a squat rack. She's got mats and deadlifts and weight racks, and she's got, kettlebells. She's got stuff everywhere. It's crazy.
Now, did you set her up with horse stall mats, or did you go for the exercise mats?
So I told her to get horse stall mats, and she got a little slightly thinner, but a rollout mat. So
okay,
it still works.
For those of you who don't know, you go to your local Tractor Supply or Cal Ranch farm store and you buy horse stall mats. And it's like they come in, it's a 6 foot by 4 foot, weighs like 100 pounds.
Yeah, that you can't lift them.
3/4 inch galvanized rubber.
And it will, they're literally meant to take shoed horses stepping on them and just tearing it up, but they don't actually get damaged. And they work amazingly for putting underneath weight racks. And
they look really good on a cement floor with whatever on top. Yeah.
So if you're building a home gym, it's what you got to do. Carrie's taking off. She's going to go upload some pics. So now Miriam, actually, when we were talking about doing this, she wanted you to talk about protein.
Sure. I love talking about protein.
I love protein.
So eat more meat.
Awesome. Protein is protein is the best. All right. What do we want to talk about with protein? Because there's so many things we could talk about. Did you have anything specific, Miriam? Any questions? Well, you guys get questions all the time, right? So what are some questions you've had recently?
Okay. So we recently sponsored a lipidemia and lymphoma conference. It actually happened this last weekend. I actually didn't have any idea that those were so closely related. It's where basically your lymph ducts don't work. And when that happens, you start to get these really weird deposits of adipose tissue. It looks like obesity and fat, but it's a disease.
Interesting. Okay.
And they actually call there's a book it's the disease they call fat.
Okay.
But one of the speakers was talking about how she tries to keep her protein low to prevent gluconeogenesis.
Oh, I don't think I heard that one.
I heard that one because I went, God.
Okay.
She might have been talking right after. Do you know who Ben Bickman is?
Oh, dude, Ben is the man.
Okay. So for anybody who doesn't know, in 2018, Ben Bickman gave a presentation at Low Carb Breckenridge that firmly put the argument about eating too much protein turning into glucose to bed. There's no longer any real discussion about it. But anyway, this particular, she actually came right after Ben Bickman. And anyway,
wow.
So can you talk to us about how much protein should you eat? Is too much protein going to cause problems with a ketogenic diet? How do you figure out how much to get? All that sort of stuff.
Right. I will start this off by saying, try this stuff for yourself.
Okay.
If whoever's listening, try this stuff for yourself. You can listen to me, you can listen to Ben Bickman, you can listen to whoever you want say this is what's going to happen. But until you know, you don't know.
Yep.
So try it for yourself if you wanted to see what's actually going to happen. Okay. When you try it and you actually see what happens, then things start making sense with all the information you've been hearing. And you go, oh, I get it now. Right. So you can hear information from all over the place, but until you try it, it doesn't really click. So that being said, and it's question number one, how much protein should you eat? I recommend, if you have not followed, or if you guys don't know who Ted Naiman is, Dr. Ted Naiman, follow him.
He wears a shirt, right?
Sometimes, you might catch him with a shirt. He is a proponent of the protein to energy ratio, which he is 1-to-1 essentially. So for every gram of protein, there should be a gram of energy. Energy is carbs or protein or fat.
Okay.
And that is, it's not the only place I've heard it, but he's really made it a thing with the PE diet book and all the kind of stuff he calls the PE diet. Mm-hmm. That is pretty much what I base my stuff off of as well. When I get someone started. Now, based on their goals, based on where they are, they may go a little higher protein, they may go a little higher fat, but I start everybody that I work with off 1-to-1. So, and I base that
of protein.
Yes. And I base that off of their lean mass. So when I work with somebody, if I work with someone let's say they're 200 pounds and they're 20% body fat, then they're 180 pounds of lean mass. I would say you need to target 180 grams of fat a day and 180 grams of protein a day. That would be your starting point. Okay. Wow. Now, if they can't get that, right? Because 180 grams of protein is a lot.
Yeah. Good luck eating that. You're going to try.
It's a lot for someone getting started.
Yes.
Okay. I do 200 grams of protein a day, and I feel like I need more sometimes. So it changes. Your body gets used to certain things, and it changes. So that would be a starting point for somebody in that situation. The idea is protein is thermogenic. Protein increases your metabolism. Protein is not technically a fuel source because your body doesn't use it for fuel. Your body uses it for muscle protein synthesis and cellular repair. Okay. Growing muscle, building, making sure things are growing and building and functioning and doing what they need to do. It doesn't use it for fuel unless it absolutely has to. Now, if you're eating carbs, if you're eating fat, if you have fat on your body to use for fuel, your body's not going to use protein.
Okay.
It's going to use all those other things first. So if you look at eating protein, I've always come like just this close over the line to saying protein calories don't count, because it would really blow everybody's mind if I actually came out and said that, right? Essentially, in my opinion, they really kind of don't, which is one of the reasons why I don't use calories in any of my protocols or any of my clients.
Okay.
I use grams and I use lean mass, and that's kind of where I start things off with. I don't look at calories at all. So essentially, don't worry about protein, because if you look at oxidative priority, well, we were talking about amounts first. Amounts in general, we'll go back to the oxidative priority in a second. In general, when you look at amounts, it should be recommended is 6.6 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound of lean mass. I like to recommend, and most of the people that I know in the space usually recommend 1 to 1.5. Right. So I think the USDA recommendation, the government's recommendation
5 to 6 times more. That you're recommending compared to. Oh, okay.
0.6 to 0.8 to 1 to 1.5.
Oh, 0.6. I heard 6 to 8. I was like,
whoa. You missed the point.
I did miss the point.
Yeah, I was like,
I missed the point entirely.
So 0.6 to 0.8 is what is normally recommended. I recommend 1 to 1.5. If you're super active, if you're doing a lot of heavy lifting, if you're doing a lot of different things, then the higher protein. is good. One, then you're going to probably not hit it initially,
Okay.
but that's okay. You're getting more than you probably were before.
Now,
You can't overeat protein.
okay? That was
It's
the
not
next
possible.
question I was going to ask. A lot of people really worry about getting too much protein, and that will cause problems and make them stall out. Oh no, he's gone.
Oh no.
Well, he'll be back in a second. Hold on. I think his internet connection was
He
being weird.
left. Well, do you want to know my opinion about that? Oh, he's back.
He's back.
Ta-da!
All right, that will cause problems. That's where you cut off.
Okay, so we were talking about too much, because a lot of people really get worried about the amount of protein, and they think it's going to make them stall out, make it so that their keto diet and journey stops.
Yeah. It's your body is a protein storage device. That is your body, right? You have muscle. Muscle that's where your body stores protein. So if you're exercising, particularly if you're exercising, it makes it even harder to overeat protein. But there have been studies where people have eaten up to 3 times their lean mass in protein for periods of 6 weeks or more. And they've seen improvements in body composition, which means less fat and more muscle.
Oh, wow.
They have not seen any negative side effects from that. So eat all the protein you want. The only challenge, the only gotcha with eating protein is it comes with fat. And you do have to make sure that you're not overeating fat, because if you eat too much fat, you can't get fat. Sorry, it can happen. Okay, we'll talk about that because I did it. Okay, I did a high protein version of carnivore recently, and we can talk about that in a second. So eat as much as you want. Try to get 1 gram per pound of lean mass as a starting goal. If you can't get there, don't sweat it. Just try. You'll get more than you probably did before. Don't be afraid of overeating protein, because it's really hard. Protein affects your ability to eat. Right? When you eat protein, ghrelin is stimulated. Ghrelin is the hormone that says you don't need to eat anymore. You're not hungry.
Yeah, because you physically cannot eat anymore.
It is literally. Your body will literally stop you from eating too much meat.
I've tried to overeat brisket. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. You just can't do it. You can't.
Whereas sweets, you can.
Oh, I could eat a brisket. I could be completely full on brisket, and then eat a bag of chips.
A bag of chips, right? It's a whole absolutely, because it's a whole different hormone system. It's a whole different hormone response, and your body that's why they're so bad. That's why processed food, because it's designed to make you eat more, so they sell more. Right? It's just that's what it's all for.
On an aside, I have a personal theory that the reason why our society has dessert is so that when you overeat, then you eat sweets and it takes the edge off. That's my own personal theory. I have no way to corroborate it. But anyway,
it makes sense, because you eat something afterwards and you're like, oh, I'm still kind of hungry.
Yeah.
I could have more. That must not have been too bad. I don't need to worry about how much you eat next time.
Yeah. Well, you don't feel like you're going to die anymore. But anyway, so you were talking about getting too much protein, also getting too much fat.
Getting too much fat. Oh, we wanted to swing back to the oxidative priority piece. So not only is it not, you can't eat, get as much as you can. You can't overeat it. It's not going to throw your blood sugars off. It is going to raise your insulin. We'll talk about that after oxidative priority. It's not fuel. You cannot get fat on protein.
Okay.
Not going to happen. You're going to grow muscle on protein. You're going to increase your metabolism on protein. You're going to help your mitochondria perform better, which burns a bit more energy, helps you recover faster, all those things. You can't get fat on protein. Protein raises insulin. It does not raise blood sugar. So think about this. If protein raises insulin, insulin's job is to do what? It is to shove nutrients into our cells.
Yeah.
So if I'm not eating carbs, or I'm eating low carbs and there's not an abundance of carbs in my system, if I eat a steak, what am I pushing in? Because there's not sugar, there's not glucose to push into my cells. There's nothing that's excess to turn into fat. I'm taking protein That insulin is grabbing those BCAAs, those branched chain amino acids, and pushing those into my cells.
Okay.
That's its job. So when you eat steak, the insulin response is there to help build muscle.
So this isn't a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all. The insulin response to protein is fantastic if you are low or no carb.
Yeah.
If you're eating your protein with three pieces of cornbread and mac and cheese and who knows what else, then it's just as bad. It's just as bad as anything else. Because you're adding to it the stuff that you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it comes in. That's why we say, you don't eat your fats and your carbs together. Don't eat carbs. I mean, it just makes it so much easier. Stop
and
eating
we're
all the
back to just
carbs.
eating meat, man.
Gosh, why do we have to make it so complicated? It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, now you wanted to talk about oxidative priority too.
Yeah, Jason just asked a question. Insulin is the storage hormone, not just fat, because it doesn't store fat. It stores it. Let's not get too much into it. Insulin is a storage hormone. Let's just leave it at that. It's not just fat.
Well, and if your insulin
helps
is high,
your body uptake nutrients.
Yeah, and if your insulin is high, your cells will not release fat.
Right.
Among other things.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so oxidative priority.
Oxidative priority. So when you look at oxidative priority, this is an awesome topic because it took me a couple of years to go, I've always looked at oxidative priority as, okay, this is how your body burns fuel. And somewhere along the lines in my discussions with, I don't know if you guys know who Marty Kendall is, Nutrient Optimizer.
Yeah.
So my discussion with Marty Kendall, listening to Dr. Naiman, talking to other doctors. It's awesome how many doctors and people that have way bigger minds than I have that are in the space that put information out there that you can kind of pull things from and make connections. That's what I love about this way of this lifestyle is all the connections make sense. Whereas before, none of the connections made sense. So this is really cool. Oxidative priority is not the order by which your body burns fuel. It is the order by which your body processes nutrients.
Okay.
Two very different things. Burning fuel assumes that everything that you put into your body is used to create ATP and move muscle. We use a broad sense. Processing nutrients is more of a term that acknowledges that each nutrient has a purpose and it's not always fuel. Hence, protein is not a fuel. When we burn alcohol as the first thing on the list, it's a fuel. The alcohol hits, you drink that bourbon and the alcohol hits your body is going to burn that as fuel. Everything else stops, you burn alcohol.
Yeah.
Then exogenous fats, any fat. If I eat a stick of butter, my body's going to burn that before it burns anything on my body, before it burns the bread that butter came on. Okay, it's going to burn the butter first. If I eat that butter on a steak, the steak is going to get processed after the butter. And I'm being literal right now. This stuff all kind of happens all together, but I'm being literal. That steak, that protein in that steak is going to be processed, but it's not going to be burned as fuel. It's not turned into sugar, glucose. It's not turned into fatty acids to be used as fuel. It's broken down and used by my body to repair itself and grow and build. Then we go to carbs, fuel, that gets turned straight into sugar, straight into glucose. And then we have body fat that's on our body. Then that is broken down and used as if needed, if all the other stuff isn't there. Okay. So when I look at oxidative priority, I actually did my own matrix. I don't know if you've seen the oxidative priority matrix, right? It's got all those things listed with how much storage we have, how much energy it takes to burn it, and all that kind of stuff. I put protein twice. So once in the middle, where it goes after exogenous fat, and then I put it again at the end, basically saying, if all this other stuff is done and there's nothing else to access, then your body is going to say, hey, I need to turn protein into sugar.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it can also do that with the glycerol backbone of triglycerides.
Correct. Well, and that's where the fat comes in, right? So if you have the fat and you need it, that's why it really, really, really bothers me when people say
You're twitchy there a bit.
that you have to have carbs to do high intensity exercise or all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Because they look at, there's 3 metabolic pathways when we talk about fitness, right? There's the phosphogene or the ATP system, right? That's energy that's stored in your muscles ready to go. ATP is in your muscles ready to go. Then there's the glycolytic pathway, which is your body using glucose to fuel your movement and exercise. And then there's the oxidative pathway, which is basically your body burning fat.
Okay.
People look at the glycolytic pathway and they say, oh, your body's burning glucose. You need to have glucose in order to do these types of exercises, high intensity, short burst work. That is correct. You do. What you don't need to do is eat your carbs to get them, because your body has the capability of turning fat into glucose for that type of work. So I don't have to eat carbs because it's not essential. We look at essential vitamins. When we talk about essential vitamins, what vitamins are essential? The ones that our body can't produce on its own.
Yes.
Those are essential. Carbs are not an essential macronutrient. Our body can make it on its own. We don't need to eat glucose for our body to use glucose. And I think that is something that a lot of people just miss. Gluconeogenesis can use fat. It was 2 years, almost 3 years into this before I realized, wait a second, I was reading something on one of the NIH one of the NIH studies that I'm always looking at, and it said something about fatty acids and gluconeogenesis, and I was like, whoa.
Wait, fat can do that too? Yeah.
Wait, what? What are you talking about? And that just set me off of this whole other thing. It's like, wait a second, gluconeogenesis is not a protein-only process.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the glycerol that's part of the triglycerides is also a primary component of gluconeogenesis.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and people get all uppity about protein and completely forget about the glycerol. But Cece had a question, and this is actually a good thing. What do you feel about carb cycling?
Try it. I personally have not seen anybody have any improvements in their fitness, lean mass gain, or overall health doing it over someone who's not doing it.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people that like doing it. Now, whether they like doing it because they just like eating carbs every once in a while, or they like doing it because they actually feel like it's doing something for them that not doing it wasn't, I can't speak to that. If you want to try it, go for it.
Now, another thing that's important here is to have an honest conversation about what we mean by carb cycling, because when you talk to people like Danny Vega, he likes to do carb cycling. Robert, on the other hand, doesn't.
Right.
But my understanding is when Danny does carb cycling, he's not eating cinnamon rolls or Smarties or drinking orange juice.
Correct.
He's using pure glucose, things like white rice or sweet potatoes. And he's not eating a lot of it. He's just eating enough, because I can understand the concept of carb cycling when your performance is being held back because you need a little bit of extra glucose.
Sure.
I am nowhere near.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I am nowhere near that level of performance where it would even matter. Like unless I'm lifting weights, like seriously, 5-6 times a week, and I've got 2% body fat, and I'm just going nuts, I don't see any benefit other than I want to eat carbs.
That's absolutely correct. There is a direct correlation with your level of fitness and your fitness goals and the things and techniques and tactics you need to use to see progress.
Okay.
If you are just getting started, if you have been keto for a couple of years, you work out 2 or 3 times a week, you're a weekend warrior, you're a part-time fitness enthusiast, you probably are not going to see a benefit from carb cycling. In fact, I would say it's probably going to make staying on track harder for you because it's more complicated. And what you need is simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Simple.
So good. Say again.
Simple is
simple
good.
is good.
Simple is good. That's what you need to be able to maintain those routines and habits. So somebody like Danny, who is a former power lifter, he performs at a high level. He's got a ton of muscle. He's super lean, and he's got a lot of years doing this stuff. So what's complicated to him, what's complicated to you may be simple to him.
Yeah.
He can do it without even a second thought on what he's doing and know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right? He's been educated in it. He's got experience. He's been doing it for a while. And he's doing it with a specific goal that he can measure because it's where his ability and experience is at. Most of you listening to this, I'm not at the point where I think it's beneficial for me to do.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that for most people, again, if you want to try it, go for it. I don't really carb cycling and all that kind of stuff.
Well, no, another
like
person had a. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, I feel like it would be better just to build habits on what you're doing that's working, and look at other areas in your life, because there are other things besides what you're eating. If you get to a point where you have a steady routine, you're staying on track with keto, you're staying on track with carnivore, you get into a workout routine that is consistent and steady, then you can start looking at, what's my sleep like?
Okay.
How much quiet time do I get a day? Am I spending time with positive people? What's my work-life balance? You can start looking at some of those other things, because now you have a foundation around your fitness and health that then your lifestyle can start getting looked at. And you might see better improvement in quality of life that way than trying to get super complicated with your nutrition.
Well, that kind of goes into the next question that someone else had. Some people look to carb cycling to break stalls. What do you recommend to people if they start to stall?
I think the first thing to define what is a stall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's good. It's like, well, I've been losing weight and I stopped losing weight for 3 days.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's not a stall.
That's not a stall.
I lost 100 pounds and I haven't lost any weight for 6 months.
That would be a stall.
Or now, I've been on keto for 3 years and I gained 15 pounds. Okay.
That may not be a stall. Did you lose weight and gain muscle? Are you working out? The stall question gets really tricky because everybody has a different goal. So what they're stalling with could be completely different and have a completely different solution than the next person.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody may stall and say, I've been trying to gain lean mass. I've been trying to add muscle, and I added 2 pounds. I haven't been able to get past 2 pounds. Right. I'm trying to gain 5 pounds of muscle and I can't get past the 2 pound mark. What do? I'm stalled. Okay. There's things that are different for you than someone who's I was trying to lose 20% body fat. I only lost 10. I'm stuck. I haven't been able to lose the other 10%. It's been 3 months. What do? That's a completely different answer.
Yeah.
So it's hard to answer that specifically. In most people, this is going to be completely duplicitous. They're either eating too much or eating too little. They're either working out too much or not working out enough. I'll say that. I'll change the workout one. They're probably, if you're stalled and you do work out consistently, you probably are not working out correctly. You're probably doing more cardio than you need to be and not doing enough weight training, heavy weight training.
Okay.
I would say sleep is always a factor for any stall. I think that's a need. That's a need for any stall. That is the time when your body does its most beneficial work, is when you're sleeping. Absolutely, 100%. It does more good stuff when you're sleeping than ever. If you don't get good sleep, you're going to have problems.
Speaking of which, what time zone are you in?
Eastern.
So we better finish this up so you can go to bed.
You get me talking. We've been here for like 3 hours. I'm good.
Ooh, Parrot Renee said a hard question. What do you deem healthy body fat for men/women?
The ranges that I like to work in for guys are around 20%.
Okay.
15 to 20% is really healthy. 20%. When I'm working with someone who's overweight, obese, in the 25, 30, 40% range, my goal is to get them to 20%. If I can get someone to 20%, then to me that is major success. For a woman, it's between 22 and 24, maybe 25%, but I like the 22, 24 range.
And how do you measure the body fat? Because we were earlier talking about how many grams of protein to eat based on lean body mass. So how do you measure that?
In-body all the way.
Okay.
In-body. So In-body has a ton of commercial grade products that they have that you can go to. You can probably just Google In-body near me. And there's a gym, there's a weight center, there's a doctor, a chiropractor, somebody that's got an In-body machine in your area that you can go pay $10, pay $25 to get a scan. Some places even do them for free. They also have some home products that you can get, which are awesome. I have one. I think it's like $400. It is one of the best investments in my health that I've made, because I can now check my lean mass, skeletal muscle mass, body fat percentage, all that stuff anytime that I want to. Okay. And I'm not worried about weight, because I'm now looking, instead of getting on the scale and going, oh my gosh, my weight hasn't changed, I can get on my scale and go, I gained 2 pounds of muscle this week. I lost some percentage of fat. I can do the things. And for me, it's really awesome, because when I'm experimenting, I want to have that information readily available without having to make a schedule somewhere and go drive somewhere and get it. I can just do it right there. So if you can get access to an In-body machine, if you want to buy one on your own, I may happen to have an affiliate link that you can click on, so you can get one.
Okay.
But yeah, they're fantastic. I love them. They're not going to be as accurate as a DEXA scan.
Yeah.
Because that's about the standard, the gold standard for body composition. They are going to be consistent and as accurate as you can pretty much get for any of the machines out there.
How exactly does the process work for the In-body?
The In-body is basically, it's electrical impedance. So they have, I think it's three different frequencies. The In-body uses more frequencies than any other brand out there, and they've got more touch points. So most places are 2 to 4. I think theirs is 6 or 8 touch points. I think it's 8. Your fingers, your thumbs, and then 3 points on your feet.
And then like inside of your eardrums and
inside you stick something up your nose, put it in your armpit, right? Clip your tongue. And basically it just sends different levels of electrical current through your body, and it measures the speed, the intensity, like all these different things, and calculates all the information about what your body is made of.
Yeah. So somebody wants to say, someone wants that link. So I just sent you a thing. If you can happen to have that, I'll put it into the chat.
Okay. It's actually on my webpage too.
Is it really?
If you go to the bottom of the page.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, here we go.
And there's an In-body icon, but I'll put it in here.
Bottom of the page. Bottom of the page. Where? On the main page?
Yep. Right there. It's right there. See, it says In-body.
Oh. Let me go back.
You went down. You went up.
Right
there.
Here.
Oh.
Yep.
Copy link. Copy link. I can copy a link because I'm awesome with my weird keyboard.
You're so awesome.
Okay. Jason says, definitely can't use that with the defibrillator in.
Oh, yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah, they do not recommend. Yeah, we'll put that disclaimer on there. If you have any devices attached to your heart, please do not get on that.
Okay. All right. Well, I really think we probably ought to end, because we're just going to keep on going and going. So, and plus, Joe needs to go to bed.
Ask these guys, do they want us to keep going, or they have more stuff? I love talking with you guys. You guys are fun.
Well, let's see. We met you first at Low Carb Omaha, right?
Yeah, it was just this year. It feels like we've known you a long
time.
It
feels like so long ago.
It was like 5 years ago, right? This year.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody something that happened at Omaha today, and I was like, that was this year.
Yeah.
It seems like this year.
It seems like so long ago. Like so much has happened.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Shauna says,
I hope I answered your guys' questions. Did I answer all the questions from people that were asking questions?
So the main thing that I think we wanted to talk about was the protein thing, which is so important.
Yeah.
And especially for women, they tend to just not get enough protein, period.
Right.
And so many people, like, for instance, we have a calculator on our website. to help people figure out how much fat to add to Keto Chow to get it to the right amount for them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are like, yeah, but I can only have 1 or 2 Keto Chows a day. And it's like, why? And they're like, well, because I'm only supposed to be getting 65 grams of protein. Like, wait, what?
My 10-year-old needs 65 grams of protein.
And
more than that.
A lot of that, one of the main causes of that problem is Chronometer, the food tracking app.
Yeah.
Their ketogenic calculator
Why don't we just ask them
wrong,
to fix it?
wrong.
Yeah, why don't we talk to them and ask them?
You know what?
We should talk to them.
I should send them an email to Aaron and say,
nice.
dude, your keto calculator is wrong.
Telling everybody they don't need enough protein.
Okay, that'll be my job this week. We'll see if I can pull it off.
Let me know how that goes. That would be awesome to see that change.
And because we get that all the time, and people will be like, I'm doing this and I'm still hungry all the time. We're like, well, up your protein.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, up yours. And I was like,
or up your fat.
So
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing bad that's going to happen from eating more protein.
Yeah.
The worst that's going to happen is nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
The worst that's going to happen is nothing. Unless the only thing that I've seen or heard anybody talk about as a bad thing about protein is for someone who is severely insulin resistant.
Okay.
Then when you eat anything, doesn't matter what it is, your glucose is going to rise. So you have to be careful in those first early stages. And that's why, and Miriam, I think you talked about this in one of your emails, we were setting this up. That's why when you first get started on keto, sometimes it's better to go low to moderate protein and higher fat, because you're trying to get your body to fix that insulin resistance a little bit, so that you
need the energy from somewhere, and it's not coming from glucose. It's not coming from your own fat.
It's not coming because your body doesn't know how to use that yet.
Yeah.
So you're trying to use the exogenous fat that you're eating to train your body. Hey, this is what you want to use. And then over time, you switch that to a higher protein, moderate fat, and then you're good.
Yeah.
So that's one scenario. The other scenario is if you currently have kidney issues, then you need to be careful of the protein.
Yeah. There
has been numerous studies more recently in the past few years that say if you have healthy kidneys, protein's not going to do anything. Just eat it. Like, it's fine. It's only an issue if you currently have compromised kidneys.
Yeah. And I believe Jason Fung and Megan Ramos corroborate that as well. And they're like the kidney experts. So
yeah.
Right.
Some people ask what keto calculator we recommend. We actually recommend Maria Emmerich's is the one that we usually point people towards. Do you have one that you prefer?
I have one that I have on my website, but it's not in the menu anymore. So because I've been thinking about tweaking it a little bit, but on my website, I do have the formula for how I figure it out.
Okay.
On my blog page, I have a carnivore getting started blog in my articles.
Let's see. Articles.
Go to the top right. Yep.
The Articles of Confederation.
And then Carnivore Getting Started Guide.
Strong women from a strong man's point of view.
Strong women are where it's at.
Hey, that looks delicious. Except
it was amazing.
The problem with Longhorn is they don't serve prime rib. And I spent too many years not eating prime rib.
Really, see, I just eat filet, so I love filet. That's my cut.
Okay.
So then if you scroll down.
What are you laughing at, by the way?
That was actually not a planned picture. That was a candid at a photo show.
I love that picture.
One of the photographers said something and I laughed, and the other photographer took the picture.
Nice.
Okay.
Right here, this is basically the area where I talk about what to eat or how to figure out what you're doing. So just to explain this real quick, protein is everything on top, right? You start at 1-to-1 with protein and fuel. And then based on what your goals are, you can adjust. If you're trying to get more lean, then you drop your fuel. You don't want to drop your fuel lower than 50 to 70 grams of fat per day. That's about as low as you want to go from a health perspective.
Okay.
Anything above that, you can alternate between fat and carbs if you want to. If you're going low carb, then just don't use as many carbs and replace it with fat. But you want to keep the total grams the same or less than your total protein.
Okay. Wow. I like the sound of eating more meat. That sounds fantastic. Okay. And then
So if anybody's interested in going carnivore, there's a quick
bowel
guide.
movements. What the heck?
I didn't know
That's
you
right.
had bowel movements if you were on carnivore.
Well, once a month. I was actually he's gone.
Dang it.
He'll be back. There he is. And you're back. I don't know. I like kicking you off, apparently.
You talk about pooping and it kicks me off.
Yeah, no kidding. No, do you know who Amber O'Hearn is? She's kind of like Miss Carnivore. Yep. Okay. So she was talking on Twitter with someone, and they were talking about, the need of fiber. And I said, yeah, because, newborn babies don't poop at all.
They poop everywhere.
And she's like, or cats. I'm like,
or cats. Right. So speaking of, I had my own, I got a cat in August. I got a cat, a kitten, a rescue kitten. And I took him to the vet because he had some worms. He had worms and parasites. He had all kinds. He was pooping all over my apartment. He was just pooping everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't get him to stop. Like I was feed. So I only feed him. I have a picky cat, right? So check this out. He'll eat. If I give him bison or venison, he will eat it as soon as I put it in his bowl. Like no question.
Really?
It's done. He's on it. If I give him ground beef, he'll sniff it, look at it, walk away, and then come back in a couple minutes and start eating.
What a snob.
If I put ground turkey in his bowl, he will just walk away. And I may see him have eaten some the next day. He's a snob. He's a
oh my gosh. Well, I'm not going for the cheap stuff.
Right? So,
what does he think about Wagyu?
I probably will think it's
because I was at the store today and I saw some and I almost bought it. Just to see what he would do.
That's so funny. I
went to the vet. Said, hey, I need stuff to help this cat stop pooping everywhere. And the first thing he did on the form, like, what are you feeding your cat? I'm like, I'm feeding him beef and turkey and chicken and he loves tuna. I'm giving him tuna. Like, I'm giving him stuff.
Yeah.
The first thing he says to me, you need to start giving your cat some carbs. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, here's some formulated stuff that's just for your cat. Of course, he's trying to sell me a bag of cat food.
Yeah.
So I take the cat food, I look at it, I'm reading the ingredients. It's like corn and soy and all this. I'm like, no, I said, I'm fine. Just give me the medicine. And he tried to lecture me on how I should feed my cat. And I just had to look at him and said, look, man, just give me the medicine for the parasites. I'll take care of feeding my cat. Thank you very much. I'm not buying that crap for my cat. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So
a wizard should know better.
So
a veterinarian.
Doctors are telling you the same thing. It's not just it's medicine in general that is a problem.
That's the most ancestrally inappropriate recommendation for nutrition I've heard in my life.
We are omnivores. We can process that stuff.
Yeah, cats are not
obligate carnivores. They have to just eat meat. It's like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
So if I come over to your house, are you going to feed me venison and bison? Because
No, you get the ground beef.
Dang it.
You get the ground beef. You get the ground turkey.
I was going to say it's better than the ground turkey.
Ground turkey. That's like turkey bacon. It's an insult.
Oh, what does he think about pork?
Oh, bacon. If it's not bacon, it's not pork.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I do like pork loin and then pull it, like pork loin in a crock pot or Instapot and then pull it apart like barbecue. That's pretty much it. I don't like pork chops necessarily.
Okay. Well, I mean, for your cat.
Again, I was at the store today and I actually bought a pound of pork just to see what he was going to do with it. Did you have a camera in my house or something? What are you? What's going on?
I wasn't going to tell you about that, but and are you feeding your cat raw meat or is it cooked?
It's cooked right now. I have tried. He's done raw bacon.
Okay.
And I've done seared tuna. He likes canned tuna, but seared tuna for some reason he always throws back up.
Oh,
wow!
I figured what that's all about. But he loves raw bacon. Like I could feed him raw bacon all day.
Huh.
The fat. He loves the fat.
Yeah. Cece's mom says, "Hey, what's wrong with turkey bacon? It's a waste of time."
What?
Yeah.
Is that a question?
Look, if you like turkey bacon, that's okay, but it
Cece,
lacks
burpees for you.
Yeah. If you're gonna do bacon, do bacon. Bacon is actually pretty dang good for you.
Yeah.
So
Well, because the fat to protein ratio is like right there, isn't it?
it's for a ketogenic diet. Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah. And
Same
if we're
with egg.
talking about bacon, what we actually mean is pork belly, and you should just cut it up into little squares and just.
We call it meat candy at our house.
Oh, see, I can't do that.
You can't do that.
No, see, I like bacon where if you drop it on the plate or the table, it shatters.
Oh, because it's so crispy.
'Cause I like
Okay.
crispy. I like crispy, salty. Just yeah.
Okay, so what you have to do? Do you happen to have a smoker?
I do not.
Okay, so number one,
Buy a smoker.
that is considered a medical device. Just so you know, so is a sous vide and so is a Blackstone griddle. And in
'Cause we
case you
said
didn't
so.
know, a Blackstone griddle,
What?
there's one that's on sale for Black Friday at Walmart. It's only 22
Little
inches
tiny
wide.
one.
It's $100. Look it up.
Interesting.
Yeah. So these are all medical devices.
Because we say so.
That's how you justify it. But first you get and you don't actually have to do this with a smoker. It's just a lot easier.
Okay.
You get the pork belly. We usually buy it at Sam's Club, and it's already sliced into like half-inch thick bacon that looks amazing. But we then cut that up into basically squares.
Okay.
I'll put that on the smoker and just smoke it for a while. Alternatively, you could put it on a wire rack and put that in the oven.
Yeah.
And you're making pork belly burnt ends is what you're making.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
So you can get it pretty crispy.
Pretty crispy.
It
All
just
right.
depends on how long you want to.
The center is going to be a little mushy, right?
Yeah. And
Maybe
if you're partial to a low carb barbecue sauce, you could put that on there. The guy I got the recipe from used some of the Lakanto golden stuff.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And just to add some sweetness to it, but just add some rock salt to it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's fantastic.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right, cool. There you go, Stacey. Get it.
Renee says, I'll be calling my insurance company tomorrow and demand they pay a portion for said medical device.
I love it. I love it. Can you imagine if we could actually get someone to actually do that? Man.
Well, and here's the thing. I still need to call my insurance because I got a Freestyle Libre, the CGM that goes in the back of the arm.
Yeah.
And they actually called me up and said, we don't have any record of you using fast-acting insulin, so we're going to deny the claim. And what I need to, at the time that I was talking to the lady on the phone, I didn't remember the Trump card.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually need to call them back. And this is actually something Dr. Ken Berry said is, if you want to get a CGM so that you can monitor your stuff, and the doctor doesn't want to approve it, all you have to say is, I am concerned about my likelihood of developing diabetes. I want to prevent that. I'm requesting this in an attempt to prevent diabetes. If you're going to deny it, I need you to note in my patient file that I requested this and it was denied.
Right. So that when I charge you the thousands of dollars a month for diabetes stuff.
And when I file a malpractice lawsuit against you because I developed diabetes, of course you won't because you're doing keto, but anyway.
Just delete this part of the.
Yeah. And actually, I don't even know if I need to do it because my pharmacy ran it through a discount.
Oh.
And so.
Okay.
Anyway.
How much do they cost? Because I've been thinking about getting one.
So
it's like $120.
Yeah, for a 3-pack.
Yeah.
And each one lasts 2 weeks.
I got a prescription too, and I maybe shouldn't say this out loud. I gave one to my daughter, and because she has depression, and she's been doing keto to help with her depression. We're actually getting closer and closer to carnivore for her.
Yeah.
But we wanted to see where her blood sugars were because she didn't want to prick her finger all the time.
Yep.
And so I'm like, hey, do you want to try this? And she's like, okay. So she's been doing one. And
what was it that you said, Bronson? It kind of cut out.
I was going to say, if for dealing with depression, I was going to say going more carnivore. a higher fat carnivore.
Yeah.
See how that works.
So what you're saying is Bronson's recommending more pork belly.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that have done the bacon diet, right? 30 days of only bacon.
Yeah, there you go. Although
I mean,
I would also recommend eggs because
Eggs are so good.
it has everything to make a full-grown chicken.
yes,
Or a
and
baby chicken.
And throw some beef liver in there.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Even if you don't, like I do, because I really don't, I can't stand liver, so I do the capsules, the beef liver capsules.
Yeah.
Get mine in, but yeah, eggs and bacon. I can do eggs and bacon every day, all day, 3-4 times a day. Absolutely. A pack of bacon doesn't stand a chance with me.
Well, I think that's one of the things that Ted Naiman recommends to his patients is like, just if you don't know what to eat eggs and bacon.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you guys, let's end on this real quick, a little history note for everyone to take a look at. Just because, I don't know why, it just popped in my head. The origin of the Salisbury steak.
No. What is the origin of the Salisbury
The origin
steak?
of the Salisbury steak is actually, I can't remember his first name, but a doctor in the 1800s, early 1800s, prescribed a meat, basically a hamburger, as his remedy for diabetes and gout, sugar sickness and gout in the early colonial times. Basically, that's where Salisbury steak. Let me look it up here because it's driving me crazy what this guy's name was.
I'm assuming that they didn't cover it in breadcrumbs at the time, though.
No, they did not. They did not. Salisbury steak.
So this sounds like going back to William Banting and him talking about how,
Right.
it may not work for you, but it sure worked for me.
James Salisbury. Is that it? Yep, James Salisbury. 1823. It was actually before Banting.
Oh, wow.
Banting was 1860s. This was, well, he was born in 1823. When did he do the Salisbury steak? Earned his medical degree in it was right around the same time. So he earned his medical degree in 1852.
Okay.
So it was around the same time as Banting. James Salisbury. Wow. There's a book, which I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, that was written basically about him and his patients and the different things that he did. And there's a lot of cool quotes. Here's a quote. I'm going to read this real quick.
Okay.
Dr. Salisbury recommended this recipe for the treatment of alimentation. Right?
Okay.
Ailments. Eat the muscle pulp of lean beef made into cakes and broiled.
Okay, so muscle. There you go.
Right? The pulp
ground beef
is possible for connective or glue tissue, fat, and cartilage. Previous to chopping, the fat, bones, tendons, and fascia should all be cut away, and the lean muscle cut up in pieces, 1 inch or 2 square. Steaks cut through the center of the round are the richest and best for this purpose.
Okay.
Beef should be procured from well-fatted animals that are 4 to 6 years old.
4 to 6 years old.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's more, but basically, he's saying eat hamburgers if you want to be healthy.
Yeah.
I'm the game.
So is it Dr. Westman or Dr. Barry who talks about going on just eating hamburger patties and mustard?
Oh, hot dogs.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not a rich man. I can't afford ribeyes every night. Sorry. I just can't.
But you have to buy them for your stupid cat.
Yeah, right. Every night. I eat the majority. I eat 9 to 12 eggs a day.
Okay.
I eat a 1/2 pound to 1.5 pounds of ground beef a day. So any combination of those two things is pretty much what I eat most days. With some butter, I throw some butter. Sometimes I throw cheese into it. Sometimes I get some pepperoni and throw that in there for flavor. I use a lot of salt, garlic salt, things like that. But for the most part, I'm an egg and beef guy, ground beef guy, because it's what's cheap. You can get it, and it's
cheap.
Okay.
Yeah. And eggs are awesome.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. Well, Bronson, thank you so much for joining us again.
Absolutely, guys. That was super long, but I love it.
Yeah.
We have to schedule another one sometime because there's so much stuff we can talk about.
Absolutely fantastic.
And your listeners are awesome.
All All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll catch you later. All right. Bye.
Bye.